This is Noli. She's here to do math with Briar. We've chosen to do solving equations, probably a level 1. Briar may or may not remember, so this is perfect. And yeah, so off we go. All right, Briar, we're going to start with understanding some concepts about math, more on the, not so much achievement on the board, but more inside of our minds and how we look at math or how we feel about math. The one thing, well, there's probably about 7 things that I would like to address with you, and I'll probably jump them in every now and again. But the first one is everyone can learn math. You don't just get born smart with math. It's a layered process, and you can learn anything. So the more that you do the math, the more that you practice, the more that your brain grows, and the more that you actually become smarter. So that's the first part of one of the things that I'd like you to know. Let's just take a look at, I've got a couple equations up here. So we're going to go 9 minus 17, oh there we go, equals R. Now I don't know if you remember doing this, but I kind of hope you do. When we're working with a math equation and we're doing what is termed solving the equation, we are trying to find what R is. And in order to do that, do you remember what we had to do in order to do that? You don't, hey? Okay, so we end up with an equation on one side, the equal sign, and with this letter somewhere in the equation. Sometimes it can be on this side, sometimes it can be on this side mixed into the equation. And the way that you have to kind of solve it is you might have to take and flip one over in order to get all the numbers on one side and the letter on the other side in order to make it equal. So when you do that, that'll probably be in our second step, but for right now we'll take the simplest form. So we have we've identified what? What is it that we've identified? The letter is on one side of the equation, right? Yes, okay. And then we have the numbers on the other side of the equation. So we're pretty, I guess our assessment then would be, we're good to go, right? Okay, that's good. So if you have 9 and you take away 17, what would you have? It goes into a negative number,
yes.
Right?
Yes, a negative number.
Yes, it does go into a negative number. So another way you could do this is maybe flip them over to the other side real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an extra step, but if you're, you know, whatever, your brain will kick in and you will learn. So let's just put the R over here, right?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna, but see, here's the one step you need to understand. When you move it from one side to the other, it will change its form. So on this side, there's a hidden positive, right? You don't see it. But so when you flip this over to the other side, what does it become? A negative. All right? So here's a negative 17, right? If you're going to put it over to the other side, what is it going to become? Positive what? If I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over there, it's going to become the opposite of that. What is the opposite of that?
Positive.
Positive what?
17.
Perfect. And then if I'm going to take this, which you can see there's an imaginary positive, right? It's hidden. And I'm going to put it over there. What is it going to become?
Positive 9.
A negative 9.
Okay.
Okay? So that makes it a little bit easier to do the math really quick, right? So if you have 17 and you take away 9, what do you have?
6.
6. And then you have a negative r, but we want this r to be not a negative. So we're going to do just one more extra step, and what are we going to do?
Flip it.
Flip them. So then this r is going to come over on this side, and it's going to become positive r. This one has got a hidden positive in there. So it's going to come over to this side, and it's going to be?
A negative 6.
Negative 6 is the value for r. That's fairly easy once you understand those two rules, right? So, given that, it's a fairly easy one, and we're probably not going to go into fairly difficult ones for introduction. Okay, let's try, here's one that's W equals, I can't see it, negative 5 plus 23. Okay, what is the first step that we're going to remember? Variables, which is your letter, right? On one side of the equation, and numbers on the other, right? Before you try and solve. Perfect? Okay, you remember that. So what are we looking at? Tell me what you think. Is it ready to start? Are the variables on one side and the numbers on the other? Yeah? Okay. So we have negative 5. Here's another way you could do it if you don't want to flip it all around in that. You can kind of do a mind thing, and you can think of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? These are all negative numbers. And you go 1 all the way up, right? To 23. You can do that in your head. So if you're starting here, you're going to go 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, right? And then you got to go all the way up to 23. So what do you think that could be?
The answer is 18.
Is it?
Yes, the value of W is 18.
So that was a fairly quick math strategy for you.
Yes.
Yeah, you do like mind math, don't you? I remember that about you. So there you go. What was the answer again?
18.
W equals 18. And that's kind of another strategy that you can use if you prefer the mental math, which I think you've done a wonderful job. So here's another concept to remember. Mistakes are really valuable when you make mistakes in math because they're opportunities to learn. And every time we make a mistake, the brain, the neurons in our brain actually shoots off and makes a growth. So it's actually really important that we do make mistakes. They are opportunities to learn from. So let's see. Let's try this one. Y plus 5 equals 9. So what is our first question to ourselves?
What is the value of 9?
Y.
What is the value of Y?
What is the value of Y? And then the next question then is, do we have our
variables and numbers
on opposite sides, right? Okay, so what would we have to do then in this situation for this equation?
You would start with 9 minus 5 equals, then that is the value of Y.
Just like that, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Man, you're quick. So then Y, when you do the next step, would equal?
4.
4. Perfect. Man, you're going to catch on to this stuff pretty quick. Okay. That's impressive. So remember that when you're doing math, value the learning, the depth of it as you're learning rather than the quickness of how you're going through your math problems. Because when you do start becoming into the more complicated algebra, it's really important that you're following the steps and you're making sure One little mistake can throw the whole equation off. So just, instead of valuing speed, value the depth, and then make sure that you think, and then you justify those thoughts, and then you make the connections to the learning, because the more you repeat, the more it's kind of like when you do automated. The more you repeat it, and all of a sudden you're not thinking about it anymore because you already know, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. So, okay, let's try this one. It's 22 equals K plus 14. What is the first thing we think of?
The variables and numbers need to be on one side.
Okay. So then what do we do here? What is our answer to that?
14 plus K, or 22 minus 14 equals K.
22. I see how you were doing that. So you're going to put the 22, keeping it on the same side, and then you're going to go minus 14 equals K. Perfect. And mental math?
8.
Man, you're fast. I actually am jealous. My brain is not as quick as yours. So that was a fairly easy one for you as well, right? Once you understand the steps. Okay, let's try one with a bracket in it. C equals negative 12 plus negative 18. So they're going to put a negative 18 here. Yeah. I hope I get this right because it's been a while since I've done algebra too. So you're looking at this, and what do you see? Your variables and your numbers are on the correct sides.
Yes.
So then you're going to go, if I start, would you like to try and start the number line method? You seem to like that. So we're at 0. So if I start at negative 12, and then I'm going to add negative 18, what way am I going to go on that number line? Am I going to go more left, or am I going to go back?
I would assume more left.
Perfect. So then what then it becomes is negative 12 plus negative 18. So basically this plus sign does what? In your head, mental math, you could go...
The answer is minus 30.
Right. Right?
Yes.
You understand the concepts with the...
Yes.
Okay. He's remembering. I love it. Excellent. Hey. Which one did I do? That's that one. All right. Let's try 27 equals 13 plus D. What's the next step here?
Okay. The way you would arrange it in a formula would be 27 minus 13 equals D. And the answer would be 14.
I don't think you're going to have any problems with algebra at all. That's excellent. Woohoo, I'm excited now. I love algebra, so. How about, let's do this one. It's another bracket. So D equals, minus 11. Oh, minus 20. Do you remember what happens there?
Oh, sorry. Okay, so what you do is change the formula to minus 11 or negative 11 plus negative 20, and then the answer would be 31.
They go like that, right? Yes. Perfect. Minus 11 plus 20. And what? I'm sorry, I was talking. I didn't hear your answer.
31 negative. The 20 should be negative as well.
Why?
Because that is a negative 20.
but this is a minus.
Oh, sorry, I did not.
Sorry, I went and
Realize
messed that
that.
up. So this is a minus. So what then would be the answer?
Sorry, you would flip the numbers around, and it would be -9.
9. Perfect. Man, this mental math is just. Ha. All right, so we did that one.
Okay, we just hit 15 minutes.
Okay, so let's go through some of these other rules that I absolutely want you to understand. I think you've pretty much got it for the level 1 that I was trying to introduce anyway. You're impressive, always are. One of the things that is really important about math, some people really, really have difficulties with that because they don't want people to think that they don't know the answers. Don't think that way. Questions are really important, and they are really linked to high achievement. So if you ever have any, do you have any questions about that?
No.
You kind of starting to remember a little bit more?
No.
Math is also about creativity and making sense of things. So use that question time to make sense of things. And, you know, if we can't figure it out, we can figure it out by doing some resourcing in order to. Yes. So if you don't know the answer, I don't know that we can figure that out together. Yes. It's really good in math to make sure that your answers are correct. And one of the things that they do teach you, which we will do later on, and that's checking your work. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it'll be like the reverse process, but we can introduce that to you later on when we're actually doing more work. And like I said, it's kind of, you know, math is about learning. It's not about performance, it's about learning, and it's a growth subject. So if you can kind of adapt to those kinds of things in your head when we do start doing math together, and we are kind of picking up on some of the gaps and things that you need to refresh, then you're just going to be a stronger student, and your brain is going to grow, and you're going to get more new neurons, or whatever they are called, those little things that go out. Forget the name of them anyway, I don't know, right? But so I thank you for participating with me on this lesson, and Sherry, I hope you enjoyed our time together. Take care.